Okay, let's welcome to the stage our next two speakers. And it's not one, but both of you. This is always a lovely surprise to see who I'm going to get from the Flexible Teacher Talent
team. You never know.
Lucy and Lindsay. You never know. It's great to have you both here. I'm going to hand straight over so you can have your 10-minute slot for presenting, and I'll come back at the end to ask some questions. So happy International Women's Day, and over to you.
Thank you. Happy International Women's Day to you too. And I think Lindsay will agree, it's absolutely no exaggeration to say that we are probably still in the profession because of the work that Emma does. Emma's charity did not exist when I first had my children, and then it existed for my second maternity leave, and wow, what a difference. And I have been recommending Emma's charity to colleagues in my school, and the interesting thing is how much people are not sure that they need it when they're about to go on maternity leave, and how many. And I have at the moment 7 people on maternity leave, and everyone has come up to me and asked me, just remind me of that charity again, can you let me know? So I'm thrilled that they are supported through the trust that I work for, to be in receipt of the coaching that Emma offers. So big shout out for that, genuinely making a difference to people. We are Flexible Teacher Talent. We began in 2017. We met at the Teach First Innovation Series, which was an opportunity to meet up with other members of the Teach First Ambassador community who were attempting to solve problems in education. I was really lucky to meet Lindsay, and we support individuals who are looking to work flexibly, and we also support schools and trust leaders with flexible working in schools. And overwhelmingly, I think we would say over the time that demand outstrips supply. So when we run sessions for people who are looking to work flexibly, we always have more participants than when we run sessions for leaders. And so we are always looking to try and help redress that balance so that there is not more demand than supply. We culminated all of our research. We always say how lucky we are to have had the time to sort of collate together the research that was available, and to share stories and case studies and anecdotes that help flesh out the detail of the data. And we put that together in our book Flex Education, which is a guide to flexible working in schools, and it's genuinely designed to be a manual for you to meet you wherever you are in your flexible working journey. So if you're convinced it's a good idea but you just need some practicalities, there's chapters you can jump straight to. If you need a bit more convincing, then the first few chapters are for you. At the moment, one of our biggest projects, and we're really pleased to be working with the Department for Education, Lindsay has been attending the advisory group for flexible working for the last 4 or 5 years. And we've developed with them some tools, and then at the moment we have an extension of what was originally a FWAM project and is now the FRAMS project, flexible working in multi-academy trusts and schools, which is a regionally based support network for schools around England, so that there's one school pretty much in each region who other schools can turn to and look to for support. On their website, there's a suite of webinars for literally every type of question that you might have about flexibility. There's general questions about why it's a priority now, as well as really nuanced practical information about specific times of life or timetabling and so on. If we're able to see the next slide, I'm just going to talk through our why and then hand over to Lindsay for a little bit of this specific Women's Day focus. Why do we do what we do? So this is our original infographic. You can see we were inspired by the NCT project again to collate all the research onto one page. And although some of this has changed, we discuss sometimes, do we update the figures? Because some of them are starkly worse, which is not good. But it's also just going back to where we began. And the bottom left is really our bottom right, as we're all looking at the screen. Is the why. So the Sutton Trust in 2011, a charity, UK charity, essentially did work on what's the biggest impact on pupils. And of course, it's having effective teachers in the classroom. And so if we're losing teachers for whatever reason, then our priority is to maintain them, both recruit them, but also to retain the teaching workforce that we have. Emma has already talked a little bit about the gender gap and leadership diversity, so I'm not going to go over that again. And the Missing Mothers report is obviously a comprehensive dive into the data around the women aged 30 to 39, of which Lindsay and I were at risk of being a statistic, and happily we still teach and are able to do this work. But the imperative, I guess, is in terms of flexibility, is ensuring that at specific times in lives, whether it's for mothers or other teachers, that there is options for flexibility that are not detrimental to pay or career progression. Overall, if I'm able to reduce my hours for a certain amount of time while I'm a carer for my own children, for my own parents, or sometimes for both as a sandwich carer, then I'm able to maintain my level of seniority or my level of leadership. And then when I have capacity, I'm able to go back to full-time pay. So that helps with that gender pay gap longer term, even if in the short term, I'm reducing my hours. We know that we have a shortage of teachers across the board in schools. So work that we can do to help retain them flexibly is incredibly important. The more that schools are equipped to know the types of flexibility that are available to them, the better. So where schools are much more versed in flexibility beyond the traditional of job share and part-time, which actually often, particularly with part-time, can be quite difficult to timetable. The more they're able to work with the workforce that they have, look at their context and help to ensure that not just mothers and women, but all of their staff have elements of flexibility which will support their well-being. I'm going to pass over to Lindsay to specifically talk about International Women's Day focus, but thank you again for having us today.
Yeah, so I just wanted to link what we do really to this theme for International Women's Day. So the next slide should just have a reminder of what the themes are. Flexible working is intrinsically linked to equality and the fact that women need to work flexibly for whatever reason. Lucy and I have moved away over time from kind of celebrating the problem. Like, there is a problem, we want to work flexibly and we're not often able to, but that has three different effects for women in terms of equality as I see it. So the first is that they can't stay. So you often can't continue teaching because you can't work flexibly. And like Lucy said, that nearly happened to us. Lucy left her role unchanged, kind of subject she was doing and schools and how that was going to work. I left the state sector, so I am the statistic. I am in that statistic of women aged 30 to 39 who left the sector. I'm no longer in that bracket, sadly, but I was part of that statistic because I've moved to an independent school. So I now work in an independent school. I'm not counted on the kind of state school teachers and list. So I am that statistic. I left because I couldn't get the flexibility I needed in the state sector and had to move to the independent sector to find that back in 2017. But the other kind of major impact is about not being able to progress. So if you can't work flexibly and progress your career, if you have to step back once you require some flexibility, either for childcare responsibilities or for other reasons, then you are prevented from progressing. And that is the main driver in why we have this disproportionate representation of men in leadership roles in schools. If you think about that demographic of women aged 30 to 39 who are leaving teaching often after they have children because they can't get flexibility, they are effective, experienced middle leaders, and schools losing those people, it's bad for the equality, it's bad for the women, but it's also just terrible for the schools. Those are the people who know how your schools work, who develop the new incoming staff, who have this kind of organizational understanding of how the school works and can help develop others. And as Lucy mentioned from that report from oh God, I can't remember what it's called, but having important teachers in front of people is important. Good, effective teachers being there, but progressing and getting to the top of organizations and leading organizations, you can still do that when you're part-time or when you're working flexibly. And we are very slow to kind of have that uptake in school and that realization from school and trust leaders that just because you are working flexibly does not mean you are working less effectively. And over time, we're starting to see schools realize that and all the benefits that they can have in terms of recruitment, retention, productivity, staff well-being when they allow that to happen. But the other thing that is kind of slightly more nuanced that we've seen over the years is we used to think that we needed to help people to find flexible working, to kind of get jobs with flexibility. But actually, we're supporting people more and more with working flexibly well. So things like in the UK, the wording around part-time TLRs, there are kind of systemic issues and cultural issues around people who are working flexibly being given too much to do or not being paid appropriately for the work that we're doing. So more and more over the years, our work has become not just finding the jobs for people, but helping them to manage the flexible working that they are doing. So I think we might be out of time. So Hannah, pop back on and see if we've got any questions. We've got so much to say. We can't do it in 10 minutes.
I know. Well, firstly, it's just glad to have you both here. Honestly, I love you both dearly, but I normally see one of you. So it's great to have you both here. Team out in force. So thank you for that. What you shared is just brilliant, and it really builds on what Emma shared already. So we haven't got any questions, but I am going to send out the slides and your links to your page afterwards. And with our new jobs board that's just launched, like, I'm really heartened to see how many part-time adverts are actually already on there and are coming through. I'm definitely seeing a shift from previous years of recruitment. So I think that's something that everyone listening can influence, that we advertise as flexible roles rather than waiting for someone to negotiate it. I think that's perhaps a takeaway. So fab to see you both. Go and enjoy International Women's Day and the real juggle with your own families. And I look forward to seeing you both soon. But thank you for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Hannah. Bye.
Thanks, Hannah.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.